Yat A, glad you're here for session 14. Make social cues work for you. Social cues are really important native lifestyle balance topic. Social cues are what other people say and do that affects our eating and activity. Because another person is involved, social habits are hard to change because what you want to do is only one piece of the puzzle of the lifestyle change.
In session 8, we talked about taking charge of what's around you. We learned that seeing a bag of cookies on a kitchen counter might prompt you to eat when you are not hungry. We learned one choice we could make is to not buy the cookies. It is different with social cues. We want our family and friends in our life, and that includes the family and friends' healthy and unhealthy habits. You can't keep family and friends out of your life like you can with a bag of cookies.
Before we talk more about social cues, let's check in with Betty's progress over the last week. Betty walked for 15 minutes at both her morning and afternoon work breaks on 4 days this week. So she walked 120 minutes with work breaks walking. Because Betty thought about boredom after the last session last week, she added variety to her walks by alternating direction she walked on her work breaks.
Betty's other interest was to learn about strength training. So on Wednesday, Betty's husband took care of the kids after work so Betty could go to the hospital fitness center. A coach showed Betty how to safely use hand weights for 30 minutes of weightlifting, and Betty walked on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Plus, Betty walked 60 minutes on both Saturday and Sunday, so Betty's activity total was 300 minutes for the week. Let's graph Betty's activity. So first we want to write today's date down here. And then let's go up this column to find 300 minutes of activity. Wow, look at it, it's all the way at the top. So Betty has actually doubled her activity since last week. That's really impressive.
Betty really got back on track with activity last week. Betty also noticed in her food diary that she only kept her fat gram under her goal 1 day last week. So she tries to decrease her fat intake at lunch by taking vegetable salad for her lunch 3 days this week. She did keep her fat gram below her goal on the days she ate lunch salad and noticed all the vegetables kept her full until dinner. Guess what? Betty lost 2 pounds this last week. Now weighs 189 pounds. Carol graphing Betty's weight.
So here's today's column. Put the date at the bottom and then go up to what you weigh today. Betty weighs 189, so here's 190. We'll go down one line. And Betty's weight today is 189 pounds. Betty is really excited that her weight is now below 190 pounds, and Betty remains on track to hit her 7% weight loss goal. Betty's efforts are so impressive. Remember how on Wednesday Betty arranged that her husband would watch the kids so she could go to the fitness center? That was Betty using a positive social cue. Her husband is an important person in Betty's social life, and he showed support for Betty's activity goals by watching the kids so Betty could learn about weightlifting. So social cues can be positive in support of our goals or negative and working against our goals. With social cues, we try to replace negative or problem social cues with helpful ones.
One of the most important problem social cues is the sight of other people eating problem food or being inactive. For instance, your family goes to a friend's house to watch a sporting event on TV, and they serve chips and salsa, cheese and crackers, and a regular soda. So you eat these high-calorie food to be polite, but afterwards think negative of yourself. On the way home, your spouse nags you by saying you shouldn't have ate the chips and the salsa if you're really serious about losing weight. And I haven't seen you drink soda in months. Some people think that nagging helps, but it tends to cause rather than prevent the behavior the nagger wants to stop. In this example, the fun social activity of going to your friends to watch sports has actually resulted in negative behavior and thoughts, both in your own head and from your spouse. When you get home, you might eat something unhealthy in your cupboard in reaction to your negative thoughts.
Think of how different the social event at your friend's could have turned out if your spouse helped you make a bowl of fruit to take to your friend's house to watch the sporting event. That way, you would have a healthy choice at the party. People's complaints can also defeat your efforts. Your spouse might make you mad by saying, "You're always out walking, you don't have time for your family anymore." To be successful, try to stay calm and say, "It's hard for me when you criticize my walking because walking really makes me feel good. How about if once a week we take a family walk so we can be together?" The family walk might not be as brisk as when you walk on your own, but this compromise helps you and your family.
One challenge I have is driving to town past the ice cream shop, especially when my grandkids are with me. I love to stop for ice cream and have developed a habit with my grandkids of stopping to treat them. They ask to stop now. So let me brainstorm my option. So I stop less for ice cream on my way home from town. I could take the back road to not drive past the ice cream shop. I guess I could talk to my family and set a goal for the number of times we stop for ice cream in a month. Or maybe we could put a couple of dollars in a pot of money each time we don't stop and say we're going to spend the money on non-eating activity. They would love to go to movies. Of all those options, I think I'll try asking the grandkids if we can start a pot of money for movies, but I will also have to say no to the popcorn at the movies. Page 9 and 10 of your handout provides you 3 forms of problem-solving social cues.
Notice if any of your friends or family compliment you on your efforts to lose weight and be more active. If so, thank them for their support and try to include them in your social life. When you respond to a social cue in the same way over and over again, you build a habit. The cue becomes paired with the way you respond, and your response becomes more and more automatic. Let's say that since childhood, your mother offers you second helpings of food at the dinner table. You developed a habit of accepting her offer. Now, when you return home as an adult and your mother offers you second helpings, you find refusing is hard. Understand that with social cues, the other person also learned a habit. So in this example, your mother learned to offer you second helpings and expects that you will accept the offer. So what might we do to break the habit of second helpings?
One way to get around the second serving is to not eat with your mother. But most of us want to be with our moms. You could tell your mom about native lifestyle balance and the reason this program is important to you. She would probably be willing to help if she understands why you want to break the habit of second servings. Then in the future, when she offers second, you can remind her of your goal. This is a way to change a cue.
Another thing you could do is respond to your mom's cue of second servings by saying, "Thank you for offering, but what I would really enjoy is a cup of coffee." Asking for something specific that you know is available, in this example, a cup of coffee, will make your mom feel helpful. Remember that it takes time to break an old habit or build a new one, so it might take your mom and you many tries before you stop eating seconds. If a family member is nagging you, you could discuss the problem with the person and brainstorm some options. For instance, say, "It is hard for me when we eat out in restaurants frequently because I tend to overeat. Is there a way we can get together and have fun without eating out?" This might lead to a compromise. You can also ask others to praise you for your efforts and ignore your slips. This step is key to your success. Be sure to thank them when they praise you.
Let's talk about holiday eating because Thanksgiving is coming up. Holiday eating with your family involves tradition and habits that have developed over many, many years. So it can be very powerful and stressful. Thanksgiving tradition in my family means everyone brings something and we have turkey, ham, mutton stew, mashed potato and gravy, stuffing, yeast bread, fry bread, tortilla, corn, peas, fruit salad, cranberry, and pumpkin pie with whipped cream. Oh gee, that's a lot of food. When I was little, we balanced the eating with playing softball. As a family, even Grandma would be running in her full skirt. Today, we eat a lot, but we sit and watch football or go shopping for Black Friday instead of playing softball.
Thanksgiving sure is a challenge to healthy eating. I try taking small servings of all the different foods, but I still overeat. I like to take a walk after eating, and when I was little in Wisconsin, we used to have a family football game on Thanksgiving, many times in the snow. Holiday events upset our routine and challenge us with unique food and social cues. I really don't want to give up eating things like pumpkin pie and stuffing because those are special Thanksgiving foods for me. Maybe I could try taking small servings of only the special foods I don't eat every day and only a small piece of pumpkin pie. Or I could think about eating less calories the day before and after, but the day after there will be leftovers to eat.
Yeah. Before we close, let's look at the handout on page 8 about getting support from others. The first ideas are to serve low-fat or low-calorie food for meals when I'm nearby.
My daughter-in-law is really good at being sure every dinner has lots of roast vegetables or salads that are low in fat and calories. She's a good example for me.
I make a plan for my grandkids not to tempt me with ice cream. For cleaning the table, I remind the whole family to put their own plates away. My son shops, cooks, and alternates with me for cleaning up.
I have a problem with taking second helpings if the food dish is on the table. I think I'll ask my spouse to serve food at the stove or counter and keep the leftovers off the table.
My son has good ideas about new food he would like to try. I look up new recipe at work. My son and I praise each other as both of us are trying to eat healthy.
Now let's look at ways others can help us to be more active. My spouse and I try to walk or hike together on weekends as a social activity.
Last week, my family played outdoor games together.
Okay. During the work week, my husband and I get up early to be active before going to work, but we don't really praise each other for doing so. We love to watch our nollies so their parents can go for a walk. So we'll put grandparents here. I also have 2 girlfriends that plan our social activities around an outside activity. So setting up a regular date with me to be active, I'll write girlfriends.
I have been walking on my work breaks, and my coworker encouraged me to do this and sometimes walks with me. These short walks help me achieve my weekly walking.
You've shared a lot of good ideas, Roz. Thanks. For next week, keep track of your weight, eating, and activity as usual. In addition, make the action plans in your handouts to work on changing a problem social cue and adding a helpful social cue.
From this point on, pay attention to social cues and their effects on your life. These cues are powerful and take effort and time to change it. Don't give up. Stay positive. Remove problem cues, create opportunity for adding new helpful ones that enhance your life.
See you next week for session 15 when the topic is You Can Manage Stress. Hagone.